And then I will introduce Anthony. Anthony, I'm so grateful that you're here today. I don't know if many people know you, but I have had the great pleasure to meet you, both working with the city of Sequim, but also on the broadband action team that we've been working on for, I think, a couple years now, at least 1 year, possibly longer. And the Broadband Action Team is a coalition of local entities that are invested in building our broadband accessibility in our area. So the city of Sequim has taken the lead. We also have the Clallam County PUD, which is one of the main partners, the Port of Port Angeles, of course, the Chamber of Commerce, and interestingly enough, some local ISPs. Nicola Broadband has been very active as well, and some citizens who are invested deeply in our access to broadband. So I asked Anthony to come today just to talk a little bit about what is being done. He has furiously adapted to the times, getting the city of Sequim more connected virtually, which is, honestly, Anthony, you are so patient with everyone and have done things so quickly. I feel like you can move mountains. So very impressed and glad to have you here. So this is your opportunity to tell us what you're up to.
Thank you very much. As I stated a little bit ago, Anthony Martin, IT manager for City of Sequim. I think the broadband discussion is something that's really come to the forefront lately, especially because of COVID and our ability to be able to try to connect in an age where we can't just connect. But I need to talk about broadband even in I don't want to say a normal way of living, because, really, what does that mean anymore? But before, COVID and before pandemic kind of times, it's important for us to look at just the need to be able to connect, some of those areas that are more remote, but then also just intermits each other, people that are across half a world away. Our access to information is the thing in the direction where the world is going, and definitely where the world even more so has since. As we're looking at new things that are happening, when we can't, open our doors and businesses can't be out there helping out all of the folks that are walking in, how businesses are able to stay in business, stay operational during these kinds of times. Broadband becomes even more so important. And operations just like this, for us to be able to connect via, Zoom or Teams, video conferencing, and ways to be able to still have that kind of connectivity. One of the areas where it's the most where it's showing those most vulnerable is, of course, in education. Educational opportunities should not be limited by zip codes. This is one of the main things that are really driving us in our broadband team, as well as this coalition with the port, yes, and the county, the PUDs. And we've got this large effort where we are doing a feasibility study right now, where we are looking at where actual broadband service is, and where our homes and our businesses that are serviced in our area. So we want to be able to actually map that out, because there's a lot of little pockets in the area. While we think that Swim and Wave and CenturyLink's got it covered, there's a lot of little pockets of people in our community that don't have that availability and are getting left in the lurch, so to speak. And so we're trying to map a lot of those out in order to find ways to be able to better reach those folks who don't have those today. And there are a lot of challenges that come along with that, because it's more than just signing up online and calling up your cable company and saying, thanks, I want to get attached. For a lot of us, it's that easy, and that's fantastic. But the dangers of not dangers so much, but the challenge in our area is this beautiful terrain that we have, these gorgeous trees that keep growing and getting in the way of some of the microwave signals that are going through, or the beautiful canyons and the ridge lines that we have everywhere. These glacial moraines make it incredibly segmented, so it's a lot harder to get over the next ridge to get to the house on the other side. So we're looking at ways to be able to really map that out, not just for the city, for the county as a whole, But for about a year now, yes, we've been working with a lot of local businesses, the local ISPs, to also start trying to address our local needs for the city, but then also we look at just Eastern Clallam County as a whole, because as many of us know, the SQUIM is not just the residents inside of its city limits. SQUIM is really all of us surrounding the city as well. So trying to address those needs specifically. And a lot of those we're waiting on some of the results from this, this study that we have going on now, which involves everyone being able to log in and being able to conduct a series, or not a series, it's really about a 1 minute long speed test. You can put in your address or even just a partial address, hit a button, you go to broadband.wa.gov. Very easy URL, simple link. You can go to that website. There's a big round circle that says go. This is the test right there at the top of the screen. They've made it a lot easier for people now. You can submit your address or a partial address. It runs a speed test and we go ahead and we log that. This is one segment of a larger test that the state is also doing. We're sharing using the same tool, so that way we can do this reporting back to the state level, where they are hosting a lot of different funds and a lot of different both grant and loan opportunities to get a lot of the public organizations along with the private institutions, private ISPs, sorry, the internet service providers, to be able to work together in order to make some of these, make some new projects build out so we can get to more of those areas. The state has issued a goal, I'll say, a very lofty goal, trying to reach every citizen, every home, every business being able to get service up to speeds of 150 megabits per second download, as well as 150 megabits per second upload. I know that's a lot of technical stuff on there, but it's a very, very high level of service that we're trying to get to all folks in areas where some people can get no more than 3 megabits upload. So definitely a lofty goal, definitely something we're mapping out and trying to achieve. But so that we can get people to be able to connect like this a lot better. So people can connect, so that schools and learning can still happen, so that business can continue, even if we can't get into the doors themselves directly. So I was able to speak a little bit earlier with PJ here. I know that you've got a home-based business. A lot of the folks that are coming to our areas are coming here looking to be able to work or to live in this beautiful climate with everything that we have around us, but then still be able to work for a city over in Seattle, or still be able to work for organizations anywhere else. I've said it in a number of meetings before that the next boom, the next reason to bring people to our area, it's not going to be an agricultural one, it's not going to be an industrial one, it will be technological in nature. Because when we are able to maintain that level of connectivity here, that's the thing that's going to bring people to this area more. Being able to live in a beautiful area, find the great things here, and still have connectivity out to be able to conduct business and do their work from home. What are some of the other groups that we have here with us today? Charla, you're with a hospice group here?
Yeah, I'm with the Shared Hospice of Clallam and Jefferson County. I used to work with your wife over when she was at Avamere, when she was Natalie Antojeski.
Yes.
And I'm also on the SQUIM board and a few other boards, right. Hospital board, foundation board.
Right. One of the things that I really want to be able to focus, I think that a number of the businesses in our area, I've had some of these conversations with folks for, well, just about as long as I've been here, is one of the areas where the internet, I think, isn't quite used as much, is really in a lot of our marketing, a lot of our advertising about who we are, where we're coming from, what all we can do here. But like we talked earlier, I think something for more of the hospice kind of side is that connectivity, that ability in more specific places to be able to give out, sending information back and forth. Perhaps, the Internet of Things, where you have, devices sending information back to a central location. Things that make each of our businesses work a lot, not just more efficiently, but also much more resilient in a time like today.
Yeah, we get questions at the chamber a lot from the visitor side of things, and people who are looking to relocate here. And my ace in the hole is I send them to the KnowInNet website, because that shows where the fiber backbone is in our community. And I say, if you find property near the fiber backbone, the odds are that your internet will be better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we as the city, I know we are looking at a number of projects just in our own, trying to help expand on that. I know that the PUD is also looking at other things to be able to expand upon those. We may be looking at additional build outs in our area that's going to affect a lot of the folks that are inside the city limits. But it's in conjunction working with the port and working with the county. We think that majority of that, those unserved areas now might potentially be better served in the future. Absolutely. Do we have any questions or anything else from other groups? And I kind of figured this more of an open discussion of broadband more so than just a presentation.
And you may have already addressed it, I don't know, but I live out in Diamond Point. And that is just the most frustrating area ever. Yes, I enjoy all those trees that are above me, but even I have CenturyLink, and that's my only provider out there, my only choice. Any help out there?
Absolutely. Diamond Point, we've got a lot of our folks on, well, pick your mountain, Blue Mountain, Lost Mountain, Mountain. We've got a lot of the folks that are in more of the outskirts. And, you know, definitely one of the things I stated earlier is that with this new initiative that we have going through with all of the, you know, the county and the port and everything, City of Sequim, we've really kind of taken on more of all of Eastern Clown County to try addressing all of these needs, because we're all Sequim, whether we live inside the city
Right.
or not. Diamond Point is definitely one of those areas that have come up a number of times in our conversation about how do we better serve out there. It comes down, usually the differences here is not just in the availability, but then it's also on the subscribers and of course the price of what that costs. So when they do a build out to an area like that, because of, again, the difficulties in the terrain and the trees and everything out that way, the build out to get there, then for an ISP, then they also need to make sure they're getting enough of the different homes in the area all subscribing to help pay for their expenses to get out and to start servicing. And then they need to make sure that for, like, especially for a number of the federal and the state grants or loans to be able to help pay for the ISPs to pay for that to get out there, they have to be able to show also that viability for the next 5 years thereafter of people subscribing to it.
God, they're building like crazy out our way. I can't imagine that it's not like a potential, you know, growth area.
Right. And
Of
it's one of the things that
subscribers.
we're trying to really, you know, incentivize a lot more of them doing. And we are hoping that as we get more and more people participating in the study, we are going to be able to show this is a major area of need. We can create a lot more of those and give some of these ISPs more of that incentive to invest in that build out to get there. As the city, one of the things we're looking to do is put that into some of the, not the building codes. Sorry, this is now branching out outside of my realm of expertise, but putting in some of that requirements for developers that if you're going to build a group of homes, okay, you are going to somehow get broadband service to there. Well, then pay for some of that, you know, coming off of the network to extend the network to service those homes.
Yeah.
When you're already starting in a community that's displaced like that, as a different individual home is going in, they don't quite have that same spot to be able to pull from. And that's what we're looking to expand that backbone network that everything else can spur off of, with those main branches, you know, serviced.
Yeah.
So,
And Chloe babysat Noah for you guys.
I'm sorry?
Chloe, my daughter, was babysat Noah for you guys too.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It is very good to
remember that.
I love how interconnected we all are.
I know. And you know my husband.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
The beauty of having a small community, a tight community like this, we all have, you know, I wouldn't even say 6 degrees, right? I mean, that's that's for the new people who show up. 6 degrees. Exactly. Much more like 2.
I'm a new people, so I'm still getting to know people.
Welcome, welcome.
I have a question. So we're building out over by Sequim Airport, and I was talking to our neighbor works at Wave, and he said something about we need to give Wave a couple of months notice that we're going to be wanting service out there because they need to build out there, or, you know, put the lines. Does that mean we're paying for that then? Probably. Or would I need to ask Wave?
I would definitely state that you should, you know, definitely work through that with the folks at Wave for those. I will say that as I've heard a number of parallel stories, a lot like yours, about people that, hey, we're building here, we would love to get access coming off of your fiber line or access from where you have it brought out to our homes. In the past, I would say I've heard a number of stories where all of that, the cost for that has fallen completely on the resident. So when you're dealing with the larger names, the Waves, the CenturyLinks, you know, depending on where you are, with the larger providers, when working with them, often because they're the big kids on the block, they kind of play by their own rules. Where nope, we're going to they build out their own fiber network. They don't work off of the open access network that we do here through the PUD and all the other ISPs are kind of working together with.
Okay.
They build out their own because they can afford to build out their own. They can afford to, because they are going to get the subscribers. Really, that's what it all comes down to in dealing with the ISPs. Who's eventually paying for it on that end?
Hey, Mike.
So yeah, they are able to, you know, to do that and say, nope, you're going to pay it, you're going to do it, you're going to like it, because that's what it takes to get our service and get our particular product.
Yeah, supply and demand.
There are a number of other ISPs in the area that might be able to get service to you, especially in that area, I would imagine, at a lower cost. But, you know, I would definitely recommend there's a number of providers you can probably work with.
Yeah, we're within a couple 100 feet of Old Olympic, so.
Yeah. And so there's a couple different ways they could probably service you there from that.
Okay, thanks, Anthony. I'll get more information before I sign on any dotted lines.
Good to go. Any other questions?
Hey, Anthony, this is Jim Stoffer. How are you?
Good to see you, Jim.
And you as well, and thank you for being here. I think it's important, because you mentioned this about, it's not just the city of Sequim, and I think it's important to encapsulate it as the school district of Sequim, because we stretch into Jefferson County and go all the way to O'Brien Road on the west end, and we all call ourselves Sequimites, or we don't call ourselves Clallam County type thing. And so it's this broadband is truly a regional problem. And then in my school board work, we've used the analogy of trying to get broadband to our not only our students but our staff. That it goes back to like 1900s when electricity was rolling out across the country, and if school districts were tasked with providing electricity to families, and that's kind of like what we're being tasked with now. So I appreciate the partnership and work that's gone on between all those parties. I know even like DNR, Department of Natural Resources, has a position in that. Department of Commerce, all those folks, and it's a pretty big challenge right now to connect across our whole area, because yeah, Wi-Fi might work right in the core of city of Sequim, but once you go off of 101 a bit, then that's where pockets of non-service. And I learned through also this work, Federal Way School District, they're having a huge challenge. You wouldn't think they would just because of where they're at, but based on their the geographic of their area, they're one of the hardest hit ones of trying to reach Wi-Fi and broadband service in that area. So it's affects us all, but thank you, and I appreciate the work of the city and that task force.
Certainly. Yes, I love squimites. When we first moved up here, my favorite term for living in the area was squimolian. I had a few people using that one, and that's always been my favorite, but I haven't quite gotten that one to catch on here as well. I don't know. Maybe you guys could help me with that there, Jim.
Definitely help.
I like being a squimolian. But certainly, it's you go just a little bit outside, like, we are all in this area. And when we're looking at a county effort when it comes to broadband, you can imagine that a lot of their focus of their efforts is likely to be in the western part of the county, where they have zero, broadband, or they have, people much more further spread out. A lot of that focus is going to be in the areas of the greatest need. Now, our area doesn't necessarily fit that unserved greatest need, but we do have a lot of underserved areas that aren't up to those specific levels yet. And we've got pockets here and there. So that's where the city of Sequim, we're looking a lot wider than just our city limits to be able to service all of us and to make this a better spot to live.
This kind of brings up a question I got yesterday over the phone. Somebody called and was like, I heard the Chamber of Commerce can get me a computer. And I was like, oh, wow. No, but there is a local group, the PC Users Group, that I referred her to that does get computers out to people. So anybody that needs to share that knowledge, feel free, because it's not just the connectivity, it's also the technology in the home. So good way to get them to the right place. It's not necessarily going to be us, but we have the connection.
Absolutely.
Sorry for my late arrival. Before you, when you started talking, did you discuss the possibility of PUD getting involved? And of course, the state restrictions and the commercial versus public use of funds kind of restrictions?
I didn't go quite as deep with all of those, Mike, but yes, we have talked about the current effort that we have at this point that's been part of a coalition working with the port, the county, yes, the PUD. We've also worked with a number of the private ISPs in the area, trying to do this great feasibility study right now. So we're trying to first map out where these pockets of unserved people are, to then work with the different public and private partnerships so that we can start teaming up together to help apply for some of those state funds and apply for some of those to be able to build out to those areas. There are, like just about all government regulation, right? There are tons of areas and different red tape kind of things, the dance that one must go through in order to build these things out. But together we're working right now, we're setting up those relationships. We're trying to build those so that both the PUD, the city, the county can all work together with these individual ISPs to make that, and a couple different plans. It may include subsidizing some of those build outs. It may include trying to find the formation of limited utility districts inside the area, where a group of homeowners who all feel that they're unserved can leverage their property to help fund that build out to their area, with a certain number of them all pre-subscribing to any particular service provider. So they say that yes, for at least 5 years, we will get this level of service, at least for this thing, so they can build out the infrastructure that it will support that, and they can put it on their property and pay it over 20 years. Kitsap County has done a fantastic job of leading the way, demonstrating how that type of model has been really successful for them. So there's a lot of conversations happening right now, trying to help formulate what all those different paths are really going to look like, so that we can navigate those waters to get those projects funded, get those build outs done, and get service to all of our citizens and our commercial businesses as well.
What's the what's the floor on upload, download that you're looking at?
So federally by I apologize, I'm usually off by these, I get them kind of backwards sometimes. Federally, by 2025, I believe that they want people to have, or they will consider a served broadband area being at a level of 100 megabits download and then at least 3 megabits upload. The state, however, has said by 2028, they want all state residents and businesses to be able to have 150 megabits download and upload, symmetrical. That's a very tall order. Without doing fiber running to everyone's doorsteps, that's a very, very tall order. So but Mama also said a very long time ago that it's better to aim for the stars and miss than to shoot for a pile of manure and hit it. So, I think that we can, do what we can to aim in that direction, and all of our people will be much better served in the long run. Any other questions?
To put this through the lens of commerce again, because we are the Chamber of Commerce and that's our priority. I know that one of the limiting factors for large tech companies to locate in our city is a lack of infrastructure on properties that have been allocated. Just to go back to this land use thing, that I can't remember the term for it, but it's like the technology identified areas that the city code wants us to build in. Can you speak more about how code is getting shifted within the city?
I know that we've had a number of the areas that are currently zoned for the high-tech industrial, I believe is what it's called. Again, I need you to bear with me a little bit where I'm still learning as a public side of this, learning a little bit more about the land use in there. But we do have a number of our economic opportunity zones that are built for and zoned to be able to service those kinds of businesses in our area. And so looking at those kind of zones, I know we are looking to motivate more of that, but we need that broadband. We need a lot better connectivity in our area to be able to expand upon that. And I know that the ISPs and the PUD exactly are really looking to beef up into those newer opportunity zones. So we could have a data center go into place somewhere, here in the city. We could run, have more of a corporation that has, people working remotely, working out of an area, and have enough of that throughput to be able to service such a need. Getting more of that in the surrounding areas for those people to be able to work from home, that's where a larger part of our challenge is right now. But as we spread more of that in the area, both for the different businesses as well as for our individual homes, that'll in turn make the cost of that service to come down as well. Right now, that's enough. Like we were having the conversation earlier, that's one of the large obstacles, is that there's so few people running at this level that it costs more to jump into the deep end of the pool to have that high of a service. To get the gigabit plan, it costs more than some people are willing to jump into. And that's actually even been some of the issues certain communities are finding, where they built out a network to be able to service at that kind of a level, but then people still aren't letting go of their old lower bandwidth plans. So as they're holding on to those, because I like paying this smaller amount for this little amount of service, and I don't see a need as to why I need to upgrade, they still have to reserve a certain amount of that bandwidth for that running at that kind of a speed. So then that actually takes away from the amount of bandwidth available for the higher speed customers. And so the higher speed customers are paying a large amount, $100 a month, say, for 1 gigabit of speed, but they're only getting 35 megs out of that speed because there's only so much bandwidth to be able to put on it. And without the subscribers, there's no incentive for those large ISPs to upgrade all of the other infrastructure that goes behind it. Therefore, you know, everybody still suffers until they make these changes, they make these moves. So we're hoping that we're going to be able to address all of those needs.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say that, right? As we get a question from Brian Koo, who says his internet is abysmal. Help me, Anthony. So he's typing in his question, any insight on emerging and potentially disruptive tech coming down the pike? For example, I think he meant Starlink, Amazon, T-Mobile, broadband to home, et cetera. Yeah, things are shaking up out there.
There's a lot of things out there on the horizon that I'm very excited about right now. First one he hit, absolutely, the Starlink technology. So Elon Musk, you know, say what you want about him, but he's either from the future or he came here from another planet. He's came here from Mars, and he's just getting all of us ready to jump on a ship, go out there, and we're going to live in either a zoo or we're there to, you know, to feed the Martians. I don't know which one it is, but you know, the man is definitely coming from another plane of existence. So yes, the Starlink plan. So what they've done is they've launched, oh gosh, I can't even say how many, but I know they're in like the 600s, I believe, of number of low orbiting satellites. So today we get DSL, and that goes to a satellite that's, you know, high up in space. And but the problem that you have with that much distance that it's traveling is you have what's called latency. Latency means the amount of time it takes for me to get from my home, my satellite dish, out there and then back again. So it takes a long time, and I'm looking for that data to keep coming in at a certain rate. And if it takes too long, then my connection breaks and it has to make a new one. So that's what brings your speeds way, way down. These low orbiting satellites cut down on that amount of latency. So it's almost, not quite, but almost the same kind of a speed, or at least time that it takes to get back and forth as terrestrial fiber cable connection would normally do. So they're looking to offer gigabit speeds at, I believe they say, about $80 a month at this point, and should be opening up to beta testers sometime this year. Yeah, I put my name on that list, so, you know, pray for me. So yes, I think that's a really exciting time, because what that means is that with this network of satellites that are going to at some point cover the entire globe, that means that any home anywhere on the planet would have access to broadband speeds, would have access to that, whether how many trees they have around them, because they're going up instead of trying to get line of sight to another ridgeline. So I think that's, you know, and Amazon is also working with the low orbit satellites, the same kind of technology. It's just a competing network at the same time. I've heard that they are kicking off, and they are, I can't recall if they've started launching yet, but I know that they are testing a lot of that network as well. I'm excited to hear where it could go. In certain areas, I know that the first beta test for the Starlink plan is going to be along the US-Canadian border. So that puts us in the forefront for it, so that we can try these things and we can see with our kind of cloud cover just how, you know, just how great is that speed really going to be. So, you know, of course, the early adopters, it's always faster until everybody gets on, and then we see, you know, what kind of a wait that's going to be. But for folks that are coming from, you know, that are out in more of the remote areas that are harder for us to build out to, I think that's a really exciting alternative to our current technologies. You also listed T-Mobile, broadband to home. I believe, and please correct me if I'm off on this one, that T-Mobile was more of using these cellular networks as they expand out their cellular network, their antennas, that they run fiber to each of those antennas, and then from there they can then service certain homes, you know, that are nearby those antennas. So it's still a lot of the same kind of thing where I know Port Townsend is using, at least was in talks to be using this as a way of addressing this need. They build out more of their antennas, and then they use those to be able to have the fiber backbone for the backhaul in between. So there's a lot of different ways to address this. And so, yeah, we currently are at the spot where we are mapping it out. You know, we need to see what that need actually exists. So we need to find out where those specific areas are that we need to get to. And the best way to do that right now is to get each of us all of you guys, please pass on to all of your folks, your different customers, people that come through with you. We can talk about the broadband action study that we have, the feasibility study, at broadband.wa.gov. Run that test. We get to map that out, where those areas are, and we can address them. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, nothing coming in from there. Oh.
Yeah, anybody have any other questions for Anthony? He obviously has lots of expertise on this topic. I have to admit, I am signed up for Starlink to be a beta tester. We'll see if that happens. Oh, it looks like Peter's got a question here.
Yeah.
How do I sign up to be a beta tester with Starlink?
Go ahead, PJ.
Been looking on their website, but I'm not seeing anything.
I signed up, about a month or so ago. I have a Tesla, so I got a link sent to me.
I think there's a spot where you can sign up for more information or to get on their mailing list. Stay up on the news. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on their mailing list. I just signed up to be on their mailing list, but.
So then in time, they're going to come back with another email to you to say, hey, if you'd like to sign up to the mailing list, follow this link. You hit that link, and then it'll put you on the potential list to become a beta tester.
Awesome.
I don't know how many in one particular area or what they're doing right. It's definitely a finger crossed. So we'll see who gets the lottery there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Sure.
Thanks, guys.
So,
Any questions for Anthony?
Well, I want to touch a little bit more also just on the fact that broadband and stuff is also going to help out those of us who, we are closing doors. We're looking to socially distance. A lot of this, especially the things we're working with here at the city right now, ways to be able to get us all staying connected and working from home. But then a lot of our businesses can be looking at other alternative technologies of the way they're running their businesses in their still brick and mortar stores to be things more efficient, but then also to make them more resilient at a time when, hey, if people can't walk in, how can I still reach those customers? How can I still service them? And cut down on, in order to do these, cut down on the other overhead costs that I have to deal with here. There's a lot of really exciting things being done there in that field too.
Thank you so much, Anthony. I know you're going to be keeping this ball rolling as we continue. Again, remember to take that speed test, the broadband.wa.gov. There's also a link that I put in the chat from the Department of Commerce's route. But thank you so much for joining us today. You can always get a hold of Anthony directly at the City of Sequim. He's easy to find. And yeah, this is our last leadership lunch for a little while. We're going to pivot back into doing our regular monthly luncheon. Our goal is to get out there and start supporting our local restaurants a little bit more as we develop how we adapt to COVID. So we'll see you all in a month or so. And yeah, thanks so much for joining us. Well, have a great day, and